Hello there, I'm Martin Cross. This is Crossy's Corner, and I am very, very excited tonight because in the corner we have, as you can see, Simon Van Dorp, world silver medalist in the single sculls, amazing record holder on the RP3 and the Concept 2 machine from the Netherlands. Simon, it's great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Martin. It's an honor to be here.
How has your day been?
It's been good. It's been a pretty slow day. We only had one practice today, just a bit of biking. We're in kind of a slower week, so it's not it's nothing too crazy. But other than that, I didn't do much, to be honest. Yeah, I've been hanging out. That's pretty much it.
What does Simon Van Dorp do when he hangs out then?
Ooh, it depends. Let's see. What did I do? I played some video games. I think that's pretty much. Yeah, I took my time to have breakfast because we only had one morning, so took my time to get out of the house and then yeah, had a pretty chill day. Hung out with one of my roommates for a bit. Olaf Molenaar, he was in the Dutch men's eight at the Worlds.
Yeah.
So yeah, ate dinner with him, and then yeah, now we're here.
Oh, right. Now, I kind of wanted to get straight into the meat of things and ask you, because I've not long watched back your singles race, the final at the Worlds, how you look upon that achievement now in Belgrade.
I look at it quite positively. I think I look at the whole tournament quite positively. I think I had a good tournament. Going into it, it was pretty weird because I hadn't raced internationally in the single yet. So it was very like I knew that the speeds I was hitting in training were good, but at the same time you don't really know what it's worth necessarily, and it's always different to really race people. So yeah, I don't know. I think I look at it. I'm pretty proud. At the same time, I would have loved to win, but I think that's the case for everyone. So no, I'm very proud of what I was able to do so far, and I hope to continue to improve and see if I can only get faster and faster.
Yeah, maybe we can talk a little bit later about the rivalry in the single sculls, but you did have a great regatta. I think you finished first in your heat, the quarters and the semi, the fastest heat time, pulled a 5:40. And then that final, I said in commentary, but you never kind of know in commentary, whether anything's accurate. But I said, you went off the start and you went off very quickly. I think you led.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, he's trying to get into Ollie's idler's head, like lead him off the start. And I don't know whether you had a grand plan or something like that.
I definitely had a race plan. I think it always, I mean, obviously it always comes down to like going from point A to point B as fast as possible. The only thing is, I mean, the reason I was ahead at that stage is I think I'm good at that part. It's just, if when I start, that's kind of the way it goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I have a good start, I was actually hoping that when it comes to Zeidler, he would have a worse start. He was actually a lot closer than I hoped, and I knew he was going to continue to really keep going. Because theoretically, if you want to do a 640, you want to go. Or it might be the fastest to do a 140 for every 500, but if you're next to people, you can't quite do that. So I think Ollie really forced me and some of the others to really go with him, because yeah, you kind of have to, especially like in the lane next to him. I didn't want to get washed out. So
yeah,
you can think of the theoretical best racing plan, but then yeah, if you're in someone's wake, then it's not going to work out. So yeah, but then other than that, it was, yeah, hoping to stay with him and see. It looks so far, it looked like he really likes to go out fast and try to devastate people. But then, yeah, I just wanted to see if he could keep it going through the middle, and he was able to, and then see if he would crack in the like before the finish, and he kind of did at one point, but yeah, it wasn't enough. So yeah, and everyone else, I think it's always the play of, okay, so you can let him do his thing or like try to bluff along with him.
Yeah.
But then there's other people in the race too, so you wanna be able to hold them off as well. So it's kind of balancing that, which I think, yeah, for the position, I think I yeah, I don't know. I raced the best race I could do, I think, and
Yeah.
at least at the time, and hopefully I can continue to improve and get better.
Yeah, so it's interesting because Tom McIntosh was so close to you. He might have got his
Yeah,
bows in front, maybe just a fraction at one stage. And of course, you're both
yeah,
out of rowing boats into relatively new in the sculling field. I know you did the quad in 22,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah. What do you reckon to Tom McIntosh?
Oh, he's a great scholar. Great guy too. I think, yeah. I mean, it's amazing what he's been able to do this year. And there's definitely, I think I definitely felt a bit of a connection with him during the regatta because we both had that transition. We both raced each other at the Olympics in the 8. So it kind of it was cool. Like in the final, it really felt like there was 4 really big names.
Yeah,
And then just 2 guys who just switched from sweep rowing. That's the way I saw it. And in the end, we got second and third, so we actually were doing quite well. But it I think for me going into the final, it really felt like quite a privilege to be there because there were all these big names who were so established in the single, and to be a part of that was really cool already. So yeah, no, I think coming back to your question, I think Tom did an amazing job, and I think he's going to keep improving as well, and he's already really quick, so he's definitely someone to look out for. So are others. It's an amazing event, the single with so many great scholars. So
yeah. And Dutch sculling is in an amazing place right now. Gold medal in the quad, gold medal in the double. Sinkovic has gone out of the double. What do you think of that? What's been the chat? What have Stefan and Melvin been saying about that? I know you don't necessarily have to report what they're saying, but you can say what
no,
you think.
no, I think they've been very humble about it. I think it's more the rest of us that are talking shit on. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this.
I think shit's fine.
Okay. That have been have been making jokes about it to them, but I think they're so so focused on getting the most out of themselves that they don't want to count their chickens just yet. So it's but no, I think for me, like looking at it and really feeling for Stefan Melvin, they had an incredible world championships, and I think they really deserved the win. They worked really hard. They're really talented. And in the end, they put down an incredible tournament, an incredible final, and I think it's really cool to push such a great double like the Sinkovic's out of your own event. So yeah, but I think Steph and Melvin, they've been, I don't know, they haven't been talking too much about it. I think they find it kind of surreal, but at the same time, there's still other boats that are still very fast. I mean, the French double is still might come back as well, and I think for them nothing really changes, but it's definitely cool to see.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I was talking to Josi Verdonschot, and he kind of was saying, well, the double's a quicker event than the pairs, so they've kind of looked at the pairs. There isn't a standout pair. And so therefore they think they can win gold in that event. Is that the way you'd look at it?
I think so. I think the way I look at it, I think Melvin and Steph might be the best double ever.
Whoa.
If I'm honest, like obviously the Sinkovic's in 2014 were incredibly quick, and like 2014 to 2016. And the French double was really quick at the Olympics, but I mean Steph and Melvin were really close there, and they've definitely improved quite a lot, I think. So I mean, obviously it's hard to say. It's hard to say, but I've been very impressed with their rowing. They're both very good. Like yes, they're both very good single scullers. They click really well together. They're physically very strong. And I think their work ethic is great. So I think I think it does make sense if you're trying to maximize your medal tally. At the same time, I think it's also I think a win is only worth as much as your competitors. If you're winning a race where no one is competing, then I don't know. For me, it doesn't inspire me as much. I think what I really like about the single now is that it's such a stacked event, and I think that the same. If you are able to beat Melvin and Steph, then that means you're doing an incredible job. And I think for them, beating the Sinkovic's was probably very cool and a little surreal because they're such big names.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think, speaking out loud now, I think if I were in their shoes, I would have mixed feelings about it. Obviously, on the one hand, it's a really good boat that has decided to switch out of your event, which increases your chances of a gold medal. But then at the same time, it also it changes the worth of the medal maybe a little.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's really interesting. I think nobody would doubt that probably the most valuable medal for a rower or sculler at the games is the single, to win the single sculls. Is that an event you want to do in Paris? Are you allowed to say that now, or are you think well, I'll put myself into trials and see what comes up?
I think, I mean, I'll do my best in any boat I'll race in, but I think obviously we haven't done our trials yet, and a lot can change. But at the same time, right now they're not really looking to switch around that much in sculling because everything has been going well. I mean, at the same time, past success is never a guarantee for the future, but we're at least not messing up too bad. And I think, I mean, for me, I think the single is the coolest event to race in, to medal in, and it definitely is something that right now I would love to race. If it makes sense to do another boat at one point, sure, but I think for now, I love where I am and I love this challenge. So,
and just we were talking before we went on air about this selection seems to be being confirmed in the Netherlands around about or confirmed inverted commas around about December, and I looked at that and I thought, oh, that's really interesting because the British won't do that until their Easter trials. So I guess go for it.
No, I think yes, but I think also there are trials in December, but then we're also going to be racing throughout the season. So say we're doing the first World Cup and everyone is bad, or like some boats that we're trying to prioritize, or we've put people in that are supposed to be winning or at least competing for the win, are in fourth or fifth, and you can't really point at anything in training that went wrong, then there might be switches. So I think it's the first. They've also been kind of vague when it comes to the selection. I think there are trials there, and they'll try to figure it out as soon as possible, but there's not a hard deadline. So I think, going to the Olympics, you won't really know for sure what boat you're in until they've properly told you that this is the boat, which might be in January, but also just might be in May. So it's going to be anywhere probably.
Yeah, I kind of want to come on to that looking at where you place people in boats and so on, but I just wanted to go back to you in the single. How much are you a finished article in the single, what we saw in Belgrade, or how much do you believe you've got to develop?
I think there's still definitely things I need to develop and get better in, and I think technically there's still a lot to improve. I think this was the best I could do with the amount of time I had in the single, but I think there's still definitely there's things I'm still working on quite a lot.
What like?
So I think switching from the bigger boats to the single definitely meant that my front end was really aggressive, which I think my front end already was a little aggressive in the bigger boats. So I kind of blew through the front end a bit too much, and I was really gripping on the arms, which especially I had coming from speed rowing, I gripped a lot more with my right arm than my left arm. I think because I was always on port side, on stroke side. And it's slowly getting a little better. My arms are lengthening out, but it's something that I'm still working on. And yeah, then the front end, I think there's a lot to improve there. I think I blow through the front end a bit. I can hook my blades in a little bit more. One row we were looking at, like Fossey, my coach, and I were looking at was Damir Martin does that really well. He gets to the front, he's really patient, places the blades, and then accelerates it. And it was especially, I think, in our quarterfinal, it was especially clear. I was a little too rushed there. That might have been my worst race when it comes to rowing wise from the World Championships. Even though it was still good, but I think there I was a little too rushed, and Damir was very patient, maybe a bit too patient. He was at like a stroke rate 28 or 29 at one point, but his front end was still very, very clean, very nice, and still direct. So I think that's something I'm working on. And then the back end is something I've been working on as well, like holding on to it properly and then shifting my body weight over as I'm releasing the blades, like holding onto that, making that dynamic. I think that's something. And then we're still trying to figure out what kind of setup to row with. I think that's something we're trying to explore right now. Fossey and I, we have some ideas, but it's it's going to be a bit of experimentation.
Are you set on the type of blades you're using?
We haven't really spoken about that. I have seen people, obviously the comp blades have been used by really fast people. At the same time, the smoothies, it kind of seems to be the blade that everyone just rows at the Dutch national team. But I might have to look into that as well. That is something to consider. I know Melvin tried them out last year, and he wasn't too sure about them. But yeah, that might be something. But for the most part, I'm not gonna go to say a Macon blade or something. But
have you ever rowed with Macon blades?
As a junior, yeah. As a junior, we had some Macon blades at our club, but it's been a while. And to be honest, I wasn't good enough of a rower to really tell the difference at the time. So it's
Yeah, with your coach, you mentioned Francesco Fossey there. Does he coach all three sculling boats?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
How does that work for you in the single? Does he give you a third of the time, or what happens?
I think pretty much. I think probably a little under a third, because there's so many other people in the other boats, and a lot of. I mean, the managing a quad is a lot different than managing a single. Like for example, my pre-race talk will be 5 minutes, because it's just me. I don't have to get aligned with anyone else. It's just, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to do this. And then you talk about it for 2 minutes, and then you get on to logistical stuff. Like, what time am I going to be where? When do I start my warm-up? When do I start this? When do I start that? When do I take the bus? Like, it's very simple. And I think there's also less need to have like proper official talks with a quad. You want to start the workout together and get in the same headspace, get on the water, get off the water, talk about it. And in single, it's just I can do that at the training camp. I can do that in the lift going up to the mountain, or during dinner, or it's you can just have a chat together about rowing. I think we were talking today. I was on a stationary bike. He came by. We talked about rowing a bit, and then that's our rowing talk of today.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more fluid in that sense. But he coaches everyone on the sculling side, and I think he's doing a very good job at juggling that. And it's also, I mean, a lot of our training is very long distance steady state, so he doesn't really need to be there all the time. It's also just nice to row and figure stuff out by yourself. And occasionally he'll come by, he'll tell you something he sees, and you can bounce ideas off of him. But he's not a coach that tries to take the stroke for you. He really gives you a lot of trust, and freedom to explore your own explore at your own pace. And then he'll talk about it with you. But and I think that's the case for everyone. So yeah, no, it's been good.
I imagine in the Dutch team, you talked about the long distances you were doing. I imagine, in some systems, I think probably maybe now in the British system, particularly possibly with Andrew Randell and the women, not quite sure about the men, but when you're doing that kind of long, steady paddling, it's quite competitive. I think certainly, when Ian Wright used to do it in Australia before Sydney,
Yeah.
I get the impression that was the case. But I'm imagining with you and with the pulse so closely monitored, and in terms of the intensity, you can't really be competitive in that paddling, or is that not right?
No. That's pretty right. I think we try to a little, just to keep it. It is nice to row with people. I kind of row by myself and then row with people. A lot of people, everyone is in a single for a lot of the year, including the sweep rowers. So there's a lot of different people you can train with. But and I think there's some people that are really quick in the heart rate zone that we have to train in, and there's some people that are really slow. And sometimes that's just the way it is. Like some people are really slow at steady state, and then they're still really quick when it comes to 2K racing. It's just that energy system for them just doesn't produce that much speed. Yeah. But if you have someone who's relatively close to you in speed, it is very nice to row together and at least have the feedback of if I change this little thing, what does it do to my boat speed compared to them? And then some people do get competitive and kind of blow through their heart rate zones. But I think for the most part, it is definitely a lot less competitive than, say, what I did at Washington or what we might have done at the Dutch national team previously. Although that was kind of before my time. But yeah, no, I think I had to really adjust to it. Got like going here because it's low intensity and you have to stay in that heart rate zone.
So I want to talk about that adjustment, but it just occurred to me. I remember there's a story about Sean Bowden, the famous Oxford coach, who basically was saying if someone was outside their pulse rate zone, if you don't train in that zone, you're dropped or you're down to the second eight sort of thing. What happens to rowers in the Dutch team who push their pulse rate up too high?
I think, well, you'll get a text from your physiologist that kind of saying, what on earth are you doing? I think there was a funny one the other day where on the light recovery day, one of the guys, he went and he thought it was a good idea to combine both workouts. And so instead of rowing 20K and doing a light bike session, he rowed 34 or 36K in the single.
Yeah.
And I remember I was sitting next to a physiologist at the training center, and he just looked at his phone and was like, what do I do with these athletes? What did I do to deserve these guys? Like, what is this? But for the most part, it's just, they're there to try and help you get better. And I think there's nothing necessarily that happens in terms of selection. It's just if you get sick because you're pushing too hard, and you're not able to deal with the volume, then it's kind of on you, and it's stupid. You're not going to be as good at the end of the year. So I think I don't know. We have good conversation with the physiologists, and they monitor as well, and they're also, sometimes it can also be better to do a little bit extra, and then they'll be happy to see that as well. So it's not that you're that constrained by it, but they try to work with you, and but for the most part, people are pretty smart about it.
I was really struck by what you said about the transition from Washington, where you rode and studied, to coming back into this system. Something about 10 splits. Can you explain that?
Yeah. So I think when I was erging there, we would look at your 6K split, and we would add a certain amount of splits to that, and then that would be your steady state split. So I think it was like anywhere from 12 to 14 splits, but my 6K was a 131, so that was a 143 to 145 ish range. So that was just what I was sitting at, and I was able to do it, but we weren't really training with heart rate zones too much.
So how long would that have been for?
It kind of depended. I think there's definitely some 10Ks at the time that I did at, I don't know, 141, 142, and you did 2 of them or something. It felt fine. You were pushing, but not too crazy. But that was just kind of the way we trained. But then when it came to volume, we weren't doing the same volume that I was doing here. But then, so yeah, when I came back here, I was used to that. Those were steady state splits, and then maybe up to 148, but everything above that felt like warm up pace, or recovery pace or whatever. And then I came back, and it turned out that the zone we want to train in, I was very untrained at that because I was never sitting in that. So especially in the beginning, I had to really get used to way slower splits. And
are you talking like 150s, 151s?
154s, 155.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was where I had to sit, and it really messed with my head a bit because I was I was in the Dutch 8, and I was one of the slowest, while I was used to being the quickest. So and on the 2K I was, but yeah, on steady state it just wasn't my thing. I wasn't training it at the time, and it's getting better. Like I think right now, if I'm fit, I can do like 148s in that zone, but I think right now I'll probably be at like 149s, 150s, which is fairly good. There's some people that are quicker, but it's not. It's just something. Yeah, it's just that one energy system that you have to be good at. And it took me a while to get to where I am now, and you have to really train it. But it was really something to wrap your head around, because I was so used to just pounding the erg, and now it's not the same anymore.
I kind of want to talk about Washington and ergs and things, but I kind of just wanted to wrap up a few things about this season, which have occurred to me. So randomly, I'm going to say, how are you with nerves? How do you cope with nerves before the start of a race or the start of a big test?
I think pretty good. I try to relax, just have a little bit of fun. I used to, as a junior or even under 23 rower, I think I used to really like try and find hype and really be energetic throughout, maybe throughout the day, or at least the hours leading up to the big test or the big race. But I found that I wasn't able to really hold on to that energy, and then when I came to the starting line, I was drained mentally. So right now I just try to relax, have a bit of fun, listen to some music, don't think too much, and trust that just trust in what I've done. And then by the time I start doing the warm-up, you just go through all the different boxes that you have to tick off before the start, and then you get to start and you think, all right, the warm-up was good, I was holding good speed there, I feel good, and training has been good, so I'll just try to do my best. And I'll see what happens. But usually a lot of the warm-up already gives a lot of confidence, and other than that, I just try to accept what comes. There's always going to be nerves, obviously, but I think so far I've been pretty good at just seeing the cool side of it, enjoying it as well. And I think Fossey is very good at reinforcing that as well. He's definitely someone to tell you to enjoy how cool every little step is. Enjoy the little things. So for the most part, pretty relaxed, I'd say. And just accepting what is to come.
When you said you listen to music, I'm thinking, is he a Swiftie?
Ooh, I don't mind a bit of Taylor Swift. I don't really listen to her. I think I'm trying to think what I was listening to at Worlds. I think I really like Manu Chao.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you heard of him. He was he's great to just. He's the right amount of like energy, but also a bit of relaxation to just listen to. Um, I was starting to get really into country music, but that was more for after, just
Yeah,
to calm down. Um, and then yeah, maybe some like hip hop or something. But it kind of depended on the day.
yeah. Another thing which relates to this season. So I'm trying to understand how come you weren't able to defend your place in the quadruple scull when you had tests with Leonard, considering you beat him on the Boz band, didn't you? You were second on that race
Yeah, I was.
behind
Yeah,
Melvin. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, it's just interesting because obviously he did a fantastic job in the quadruple scull. But how come you weren't in it?
They wanted to try something new, and I think the Holland Baker was cool. But it wasn't a seat race. There was no seat race. It was just a switch. They wanted to try it.
Okay.
So there was we barely like we did some earlier in the year. We did some racing in singles and in doubles. And but that's also at a time where I don't know. The singles was probably more representative for me. I had been sick, so that was yeah. It was kind of hard to really tell how fast I'd been. But yeah, no. After the Europeans, they just wanted to try something, and I think Leonard had already was supposed to have the chance to try and seat race for the quad, but he got sick during the
Yeah,
during the
yeah,
races, so he wasn't even in the race. So like we were doing that in Italy at Piedeluco, and we were supposed to actually switch between Finn Florijn and Lennart van Lierop. We would race one day with one and one day with the other.
yeah,
But in the end, we raced everything with Finn because Leonard was sick. He was there. He had a massive fever.
yeah,
But then yeah, no, the coaches were so impressed with how he dealt with that setback and how he dealt with the European Championships, winning it, which was incredible. So they wanted to try out him in the quad, and they wanted to try me in the single. I think Fossey alluded to this as well. He really wanted to see what I could do. I think because
yeah,
he hadn't really had any real data on me in the single, other than the trials where I'd been sick. So I think he's talked about this in another rowing podcast recently as well, where he basically just said like, I was known for being big and strong and rowing big boats, and
yeah,
I'd been relatively successful in that, but at the same time there was not something that he could point at and just say, yeah, he was fast in the single there, because I hadn't raced a single that much. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that it was kind of for they wanted to see what Leonard could do in the quad, and they wanted to see what I could do in the single.
yeah,
So yeah, but yeah, there was no real seat racing. There was the Holland Baker, but that was more for fun and honor. And for me, it was very valuable to be able to race Melvin, Stefan, Leonard as like a baseline test of where I was really at after a
yeah,
couple of weeks of training a single, as the single scholar. So and I think that was really valuable, because you have Steph, who was really close to the world title in 2015, still got fifth, but he was within a second and a half. Melvin, who got second at Worlds, and then Lenny, who won the European Championship. So it was a good first race to have some real international quality single scholars there to just measure where I was at, basically.
yeah. There was another dimension to you and Ollie racing, apart from your rivalry on the water, and that is in terms of on the ergometer.
I thought you were gonna say that, yeah. A little bit, yeah. I don't know if it's that much of a rivalry. I guess, I mean, I think we're both very, very similar in size. We're the same height, probably at race weight, probably similar in weight, and probably similar in strength. I think the 625 he did or 525 he did is an incredible time, because I know how fast I was, or how strong I was when I did the 627. That was the record before, and the 628 before that. At the same time,
528.
528, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Single. I'm mixing single and erg times here.
yeah,
um, but yeah, no, I mean, very well done to him. At the same time, I was a little surprised he was erging, to be honest. But then I think Steph made a good comment where it's probably because for us it doesn't make a lot of sense to erg at that time of the season because we're trying to row well. What we will do a step test around that time, but that's just like for the physiologist, that's a really good way to really measure where we're at every throughout the what am I trying to say? Throughout every wattage, basically, they can see our whole system. They can test everything. But a 2K test wouldn't really make sense in that setting. But Steph had a good comment because Ollie trains by himself, so it's really hard to compare times probably on the water. So I think for him, I mean, it was a great time and probably a really good confidence boost to see where he was at. Because I mean, I've been quick on the Concept 2 and on the RP3, so it's probably a good measuring stick for him. But other than that, nothing but respect. It's a good time, and I think it's really good that he did this because it again, like coming back to the point of you're only as good as your competitors.
Yeah.
I thought my times on the RP3 were quite competitive, but if no one is trying to beat them, then you can say that, but it's not worth as much. So I guess it's good that he put this time down, and I think it's going to be a hard time to beat. I'm sure I'll try, but we'll see if I'll be able to.
Now, when you're at Washington, is it 5:36 you pulled on the on Concept 2? So that's an amazing score. I was talking to Brooke Mooney, I think last week, who's got the women's world best time, and her splits were something like 1:37, 1:36, 1:34, 1:32.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. I remember seeing that and thinking, oh, what? Yeah. No, I remember talking to her around that time and her not really thinking she was gonna break the record, and then she did it anyway. But no, incredible.
Your splits are not like that at all for the
They weren't
5:36.
There. Yeah, I mean it's also because so for the 5:36, I had done a 2K test the week before, but it was part of our IRA in a day, we call it. It's 4 2Ks in a row.
Yeah.
And the idea is you do a time trial for the first one, and then for the second one you do sort of a quarterfinal where the top 24 ergs get put in the quarterfinals, and then you do a semi-final where you have to be top 3 every time, and then you have a final. So you pretty much, if you're good on the erg, you do a max out time for the first one because you have a 2K test the next week, and it's really nice if you're able to get a PR or at least try something, and then you try to hold on for dear life throughout the middle 2Ks, and then you do another piece, like another max out piece again. But if you're around the cutoff line for the top 24 points, you're probably going to go max out and then max out again and max out and max out, and you just try to hold on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for that test I done that was the first time I broke 540. I did a 539, and so I had already broken the 540, and I think the week after it took some time to convince myself to try and see if I could hold on to a world record pace. But yeah, the idea was to just go out to try and beat the world record and see how long my legs would hold on. I think I had mentally accepted to blow up at the 1400 meter mark or something, and I didn't blow up until 1850 probably. I was still on until there, and then my legs just fell out under me. But so that was a very flat time. But the week before it wasn't as clear. But I think like if you are able to pace it quite flat, it's probably theoretically the fastest, but it is quite hard and hurts a lot. So
yeah. People watching ask questions. Don't feel you have to answer this or give any technical data that you don't want to. But Cam Kilty, who's a regular watcher, has asked this question about your span and oars. And you may not want to answer it, but
I mean, I'm trying to think if there's any reason not to. It's not that weird. I think I'm at 288 for the oars, and then 160 span. But we're still experimenting with that. That's not set in stone. That's just what we were at now as a baseline. But it's yeah.
Thanks for the question, Cam. We were talking about Washington and you there. There was this amazing thing on Instagram about one of the Washington squads that you were part of, and it was something like 24 rowers were
Oh right, yeah.
under, was it 556 or something like that?
Probably. I'm trying to think what the. I think it was. It probably wasn't that. It probably was the average time.
Yeah.
I think that took the thought that because I think we had 3 guys sub 550, which was really good because we hadn't had that before, at least not when I was there. And we had a lot of I think we had 11 people under 56 at that test. But yeah, no, that was an amazing, like erg wise, that was an incredible day. We had a lot of fitness and a lot of people. I think we had years earlier where there were more people sub 6, but that year especially there was a lot of people stepping off of 559, 558s and really getting down to lower numbers, which I think mentally is quite a challenge, step for sure. And there was some people in the low 550s or even in the 540s or 530s for me. But yeah.
So one thing that I'd like to understand is I would have thought an 8 like that with Mike Callahan as coach would win the IRAs. But I think maybe that year, was it 2019, you finished second to Yale. I don't know if it was clear water or not. But
yeah. It was quite a lot.
How come?
I think we struggled to find a boat that really clicked that year. I'm trying to. There was a lot of switching. I think it was 18 people that ended up rowing in the 1V and about 15 people racing it. Everyone switched in and out. Like I was out at one point and then back in at the very last minute. And so the 8 that actually raced at the IRAs had only been together for that week.
Oh, really?
So I think that year was probably, yeah, it was a shame because physiologically that was an incredible year, and also in terms of rowing talent, there's some people that are, that are incredible or were incredible then and are still rowing now and are doing quite well. We had people like Andrew Gard, who's on the U.S. national team, Chris Carlson, Ben Davison, also the U.S. national team.
Yeah.
Harvey Kay was really a vital part of that boat, but he ended up quitting after that year. Like he was done with rowing. He's Tom Kay's son.
Oh yeah.
And I'm blanking on. I mean, yeah, we had Michiel Mantel, who was in the Dutch national 8 last year. Some great talents. Gert-Jan van Doorn, who's in the Dutch 8 now. But yeah, in the end, we weren't able to really make a boat click. So that was definitely a shame.
Yeah. One of the questions I have, and you obviously will have thought about this in terms of, debriefs and the rest of it, but the 8 in 2019 was had a great result, silver medal behind the Germans, and then in 2021, 5th place in the Olympics, and I'm trying to understand why that was, because looking at the guys you had in that 8, and all the efforts, the technology, and everything you put into that campaign, I would have thought that deserved more. So, what's your analysis of it?
That's a very good question. I think the main thing for us was we were really struggled with consistency. On our day, we were incredibly quick, and I think even like the Olympic year, all of the racing leading up to the Olympics was not that good. But then the month prior to the Olympics, everything we did was like really good, including the heat. We ended up winning the heat. Racing New Zealand and Great Britain, we ended up winning and getting third. And yeah, for some reason it didn't click in the final. I'm still not sure if it's. I mean, we definitely had many issues with that boat. We had a lot of like really good talent and really good individuals in the boat, but I think, as I said, inconsistency was definitely an issue. Inconsistency was an issue in 2019 as well, where we started off getting third in the heat, having to do the repechage. We actually ended up switching our bow seat and our 7-seat around, which I think gave us enough confidence to stop overthinking things and just get on with it. And then we ended up finding a lot of speed, but we had that speed earlier in training as well. So it was just weird that we needed something to wrestle that out of us that year. But in the end, we got second. We broke the Dutch national record, so that was twice, I think, that tournament. So that was still a very good tournament. But then I think for the Olympics, it went the other way around. We had a really good heat. And then I think, I don't know if it's overthinking or if we had injuries or whatever it was, but it, like, starting from the first stroke at the Olympics, it fell off. It wasn't, it wasn't our rhythm. And I mean, all credit to the Kiwis. I don't want to take anything away from them, but I think for us that was not off the par. I think the weird thing was we did a 250, starting 250 the day before with very similar conditions, and everything we did was 111 or under. And then we come to the race and we can't even. I think we touched a 117 briefly, which if you're trying to get to the first 500, in 119 or something, that's just not good enough. I think the Germans were really good at sitting at 113 for a very long time, and I think for us we were able to do that, but for some reason we weren't that day, and it never felt quite right during that race. So I still don't really know what went wrong. But
was that one of the reasons? Because I noticed Martin Herkmans didn't row because he was in crews with you a lot, and
he was
he stopped. He hasn't rowed since Tokyo
Not
internationally.
Really. No. Martin and I rowed together since juniors. We literally, we did the Junior Worlds together twice. Same for under 23s twice, and then the Dutch National 8 together from 2018 until 2021. He's a very good friend of mine, and I think it wasn't due to that race. I think it was more down to him having other interests, and not really enjoying the way we train. I think the long hours with not a lot of competition can be a little boring compared to other racing or training at other teams. And I think for him, it wasn't what he wanted to do. He didn't enjoy his time as a rower anymore, and I think he was always going to quit after the Olympics. And he's doing very well now. He works. He works for BlackRock now. He's doing a great job there, and he's really enjoying it. So, for him it was the right switch. But I mean, he was a very talented guy, and I think looking at it from maybe looking at it from a sports point of view, it's he's a real talent that ended up quitting quite early because he just didn't enjoy it anymore, and that's definitely something that I think the Dutch national team had to look at and still has to look at to make sure that although we are trying to maximize everything for our performance and for the end goal, it also has to be fun. And I think the way we train now is very good for the performance, but it can be a little bit boring, especially if you start with it at a very young age. So I think
one of the things you did in that Olympic 8 in 2021 was you had these motors that propelled the boat, which I think was a sponsorship thing with Red Bull.
It was,
What was that like? Was that just a gimmick, or was that really useful?
It was a bit of both, I'd say. I think on the one hand, Red Bull wanted to do something that attracted attention. They were trying to figure out what to do with rowing, basically, and with a bigger rowing boat. They always are trying to look for ways to to attract attention to their brand and also to the people that they sponsor. So for them, they kept asking our coach what was something that we could do, that we could also actually benefit from. Because that was the flip side. They also wanted it to be something that we, they can throw us out of a plane, but that doesn't really make much sense to row. So what Mark Emke said was, it would be really nice if we could train at a higher speed, at like racing speed, but without the physical impact of it. And so they came up with these engines, and it took a lot of work and trying to figure out how to fit them on the boat. And in the end, we had engines we could put on the boat just to train with, and it was a lot of fun. And actually, I think, I don't know, it wasn't going to change the world for us, but it definitely was a good drill to be able to try and place your blade when you're not putting much on it, but you're going at, I think we could hit 111s at steady state or something like that with it. That was, you have to move quick for that. So it was I mean, it was a bit of a gimmick, but it was also quite interesting for us because it was a challenge. It definitely wasn't easy to row well with those engines on. And it was also a lot of fun because you're going crazy speeds. It's a good way to break up the long distance training and just do something fun. So it was a bit of a gimmick, but also definitely a little useful and fun.
How much does Ilko Meerhorst, kind of the performance director, or not performance director, the chief coach, how much does he interface with you guys, with the crews?
I think a reasonable amount. He's around. He helps with the coaching sometimes, but then at the same time, I think his position is meant to be a little distant. The idea is that we have him as the head coach to make the tough decisions, to be the face of selection, to be the face of tough decisions that have to be made, which also allows you to be a lot closer with the coach that you actually work with, because it means that, when a selection change happens that you're not happy with, I don't have to be angry at Francesco Fossi. I can be angry at Ilko, and it's fine because we don't have we're not working insanely close together. He still helps out with the coaching, but it's not like our day-to-day is really going to change. And Fossi can just focus on coaching me and making sure that he prepares me in the best way possible, and it doesn't matter what boat I'm in, basically. So I think that dynamic works quite well because it means that all of the coaches under Ilko are able to do that, and they work really well together as well. And there's times where some of the other coaches, Dirk Simon or Michel on the women's side, will help out or give some feedback on us. Just because I don't know, people kind of move around and talk with everyone because everyone trains in the same place and at the same time. But Ilko. So it's summing up. Ilko helps out, but he's also meant to be a little distant so he can make the tough decisions and not be biased and make sure that choices are made for the right reasons.
The Dutch team had the most incredible championships. What was it like to be part of the Dutch team with that result? Was it something really special, or were you just focused on your individual?
I think it was super special. It definitely upped the pressure a little bit. I remember watching some of the racing the day before on the Saturday, because I had my final on the Sunday, and I was taking the bus to the course with Melvin and Steph from the double, watching the racing, and seeing, I don't know, first seeing the women's pair win, then seeing the women's four win, which was, I mean, looking back at the races, they had some good races leading up to that, but I don't think a lot of people really expected them to win.
Yeah.
And then the quad won, so it was definitely for us. We were like, oh, this is really cool, and it really shows that the training we've done is really working and we're peaking well. But at the same time, it also adds to the pressure a little bit.
Yeah.
I think especially Steph and Melvin felt that a little bit. I think for me, I was always going to be a bonus event, but for them, you know, they've been doing so well that the expectations were definitely on.
Yeah.
But no, I think it was really cool. I think the fact that we all train together in the same place, we go on camps together, means that we're also quite close, and it really felt like something we did together. And it was the best World Championships for the Netherlands ever, which was incredible to be a part of and to be able to contribute to. So yeah, no, it definitely definitely left an impact, and I'm still proud of that.
Has it made any impact in the wider Dutch sporting world?
I think so. It was fun to. I think there was a lot more attention to it. I saw a lot more things in the news. A lot more people came up to me afterwards who were just, you know, like acquaintances or friends of family that had heard of something or had heard of things by themselves organically and not because they were following it. So I think so. I think it was good for the sport in the Netherlands. At least I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope we can continue to grow. But yeah, for sure.
We've got a few questions here. One is about your most memorable coach. Thanks for the questions.
Sorry, his name makes me laugh, but that's it's never mind. No, my most memorable coach. Ooh, that's like asking who your favorite child is.
Yeah, I wouldn't answer that.
Yeah, that one is tough. I think all of my coaches were memorable in their own way and have contributed to where I am now. And I think I've learned a lot from a lot of different coaches. I mean, memorable. Yeah, I can name some coaches. You know, I think as a junior, Willem Jan de Wit, who's not very well known maybe, but he did a lot for me as a junior and an under 23 rower. But then we switched to, or we had him and Diederik Simon for under 23s.
Yeah,
who's now on the men's sweep side. And as an under 23 rower with, you know, his having a coach with that rowing experience itself was definitely incredible. Obviously, Michael Callahan is a great personality and a great person, and he taught me a lot as well. And I really grew when I was there. Mark Emke is someone who, you know, was with me in the 8 for a long time. Was a great coach. I really learned I really improved my rowing a lot under him.
Yeah.
And then now I think Francesco Fossi is incredible as well. So, you know, he's nominated for World Rowing Coach of the Year, which is very fair. I think he deserves.
Yeah,
I think he deserves to win. I think.
Yeah.
I keep joking with him that Michel is going to win, and it's going to be great that he's going to be officially the second best coach of the Netherlands. But no, I think he deserves to win. It's done an incredible job.
I think Ollie Seidler, your competitor, is one of the nominees for Crew of the Year. I think with maybe, is it the British men's 4 and the British women's lightweight double?
I think so, yeah.
Who would you give it to?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think
you don't have to answer that, by the way.
I think they all deserve it, to be honest. I mean, obviously, Ollie had a near perfect year, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Especially because he raced. I'll give it to Ollie, actually. Thinking out loud, because the British, obviously, like the British 4, and you said the British lightweight women's double as well.
I think so.
Yeah. I think they had incredible years, but I think the fact that Ollie did what he did, racing every event including Henley, and only getting beaten at the European Championships by Lenny, and still getting third. I mean, let's people are talking, oh yeah, and bad race for Ollie, but he still made the podium. It's it's not a catastrophe, and
Yeah.
I think it shows how incredible the rest of his year was. So for me, I'd give it to Ollie. At the same time, I wouldn't be mad if either of the other two win it as well. I think everyone deserves a good shout for the World Rowing Crew of the Year.
Yeah. There is a question here. Daniel Fisher's asked about weight training.
We do a fair amount, I'd say. I mean, it really depends. So we have different blocks the way we train. Right now we're doing a little bit more weight training for this past week. And then we try to hold on to that strength throughout the year with a couple of weight sessions. But I think there's a couple of weeks where we train weights pretty heavily for three times a week, and then when we really get into our long distance training, we're doing weights 2 times a week, and we're not focusing as much on it. And so it's not, the volume goes down and the intensity goes, our intensity probably stays a little bit the same, but the volume goes down a lot in terms of weight training. So the volume for our endurance training goes up.
Yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit about, you in the juniors and under 23s, because I think your first year as a junior, you finished with the silver medal, and then you had that amazing result in Rio, where you were. I was talking to one of the junior coaches today, and he was telling me about the way you raced. He said you were basically last through the first 500 meters, and then you just didn't slow down at all.
Yeah,
bit like Kiwi Pear.
I don't know if that was on purpose, to be honest. I remember thinking, like going through the first 500 and thinking, oh no, we're 6. What is this? What is happening? But yeah, no, we were able to. I think during the heat and the repechage, we were really hitting the first part of the race hard there. But the water was really tricky. Halfway through, you had the wind come from the side, and it's a lake, so you had fairly big waves coming from the side, and we like from the rep until the final, we were really working on trying to relax and be loose and be able to handle that bad water. And I think we did that really well, but that did also mean that maybe we were that sharp at the start. But luckily we had enough speed to be able to win there. But I think that was definitely one for me to learn from and think, okay, we won, but and we rode well, especially for juniors, but at the same time there was still it would be nice if we were able to have the same finish we did with a good start, I think.
Yeah. And then you got in this amazing under 23. I remember seeing you win the race in Rotterdam in 2016, and you repeated that in 2017.
Yeah.
I mean, that must have been amazing to be part of a crew like that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think that was the first year we didn't really know what to expect because the Dutch age rowing at the under 23s hadn't really been done much at a high level. At least I think there was one crew before us that had made the final and they'd gone 6th, so there wasn't a lot of expectation. It was just we went there to try and at least make the final, and then we're already doing well, and then see if we could go for a medal. At least that was the idea going in. We had heard that the British had done a 5:22 or something like that at a race in Great Britain. At least that was the story back then. So for us, it was like, all right, the win might be really hard because we were we were quite young still and didn't know what the rest of the opposition was going to be like. But then going into that, I remember at the heat, a lot of the British guys were really talking a lot of what's the word? A lot of smack to Maarten Hurkmans in my boat because he had raced for Cal that year and won the IRAs, and a lot of them had been racing at different universities and had been had been beaten by him the entire year. So they were trying to make fun of him, get in his head, and I think that honestly, that might have been why why we went that well. That, I mean, obviously we had some speed, but I think it really made us determined to really put them in the ground. And we were good at the start. That was definitely something we had worked on. So yeah, we started well, and I think that really rattled them, and we were able to walk like a length on them and then keep them there. And then from that race on, it was like, okay, well, I guess we're pretty quick if we can do that to them. And then in the final, yeah, in the semi-final, we did something similar, but we didn't race them. And I think you could really tell that they were shook after the heat. But then when they won their semi-final, the arrogance came back a little, or at least the gloating. And then yeah, for the final, it was kind of a repeat of the heat. We just went out well, and were able to pull a length on everyone and then hold it. And then the year after was, I think, maybe we were a little bit quicker. You know, we only had to replace one rower, so everyone else had gone better. But the challenge was to try and repeat it with defend the title, which was incredible to be able to do. And I think we had a lot of really good speed there, and looking back at it, a lot of talent in the boat as well.
There was a question here from the same guy, which I guess is kind of interesting in a way. You know, we've seen incredible junior scores from people like Isaiah Harrison from the US, and what's his name, Gennaro, Gennaro Di Mauro, the Italian guy. Who's at Cal now? Well, he's not actually. He's back. I guess he's training in Italy for the Olympics.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I've heard that there are about 11 guys out of Cal training for the Olympics. So
wow, I wouldn't be surprised.
Like that. I heard that today.
They've had an incredible couple of years with incredible talent. So I could see. Yeah.
Do you remember your junior 2K?
Yeah. Because we did the 2K test. I think that my final year as a junior, I definitely had a bit of a rivalry with Maarten Hurkmans, at least when it came down to erging, because we were both quite good at it. And then we did a 2K test right before the Junior World Championships, and I remember I went a 5:55.5, and he went a 5:56.
Oh low. Wow!
So yeah, we had a fair amount of power to help the boat out with. But it's nowhere close to what Di Mauro has been or put down as a junior, or Isaiah Harrison. But fairly quick.
Do you have a favorite race or not?
Ooh, I think that what I'm the most proud of is the race in the single, the final single. I think in terms of a rowing achievement, that's the achievement that I'm the most proud of. At the same time, I think the happiest I've ever been after a race was probably that Junior World Championships.
Wow!
It was the first time being the best in the world, which was something we didn't, and also because of that roller coaster of a race, because we started last, and I really remember doubting ourselves and really thinking, oh, what like, is all of this going to be for nothing? Like, are we going to get sixth here? And then walking through the field and I don't think we took the lead until 1,600 meters in. So that roller coaster of emotions of a ride during that race definitely made me happy. But yeah, when it comes down to real, what it all means, I think the race in the single was my favorite.
How much do you know about the races you'll be doing in Olympic year? Which World Cups or events you'll be competing in?
I'm trying to think if that's something we're allowed to discuss. Yeah, I think I mean, we're going to some World Cups, but definitely not all of them. I think we'll go to Varese and Lucerne.
Yeah,
I think that's it. Maybe we'll get to do something else. Maybe like the Holland Baker, but that's probably going to be we're really going to be training through that probably. So probably
I'm trying to think. Obviously, your Olympic experience in Tokyo, it was a very peculiar Olympics, and I guess you're hoping for a much better experience should you get selected for Paris.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think I really want to be able to extract the speed that I'm able to find in the next couple of months, and I want to have a good. Yeah, so yeah, I want to be able to put down what I can do. I think that's the main thing. If that means I get fourth or fifth or even be final, I mean sure I'll be a little disappointed, but at the same time, if I'm doing what I can do, then I can't be mad. But I think what was really disappointing about the Olympics in Tokyo was that wasn't the result we could have had. And there's always going to be that question of what could we really have gone there. And I think it felt like we definitely lost the medal there. Whereas, yeah, if I'm able to extract the most out of myself at the Olympics, I think that would be perfect. Yeah. So that's the way I'm trying to look at it.
And you're still young, 26 or 27. I don't know if you've turned 27 yet.
26. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're still young at 26. What thoughts have you had about, if any, about Los Angeles?
I've thought about it. I think I'll continue. I would like to. I think Los Angeles would be a great place to host the Olympics. It probably will be hot, to be fair, but I think in terms of how much America feels, how much passion America has for sports, I think it would be incredible to have the Olympics there. And I think I'm still wondering what I could do in terms of how good I could be, and I feel like I'm still improving quite a bit. So I'm still curious about that. At the same time, the past Olympics, the whole afterwards was a lot larger than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
So I have to decide afterwards, but I think I'll continue.
Yeah. I have to say, Simon, it's been the most amazing, sensational interview. You've been absolutely incredible to talk to.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm going to end the live part of the interview now, just to say a big thank you and wish you really well for training, selection, and an Olympic result next year.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.